Hello, engineering class. Today we're going to do some more with our MIT AppInventor. We're going to kind of work based on what we did last class period. And there are a couple of things last class that I want to, review. But then also, one of the things we discovered in the last class was that when you go to the media, there are actually two different ways to play sounds. There's player and there's sound. And what I want to do today is talk about how you might use one over the other and show you some neat little tricks and do something maybe a little fun at the end of this brief part of the lesson. I'll be making a second video that I also expect to get done in the same class period, as our class periods are 80 minutes long and there's plenty of time to do multiples. Anyway, so what we're going to do is you go into your MIT AppInventor, get that opened up. Do have your phone handy and make sure that you have gotten the MIT AI Companion or AppInventor app installed in your phone and that it's operational, because that's also important for you to be able to test your work in the phone. So what you're going to do is go to Projects, go to Start a New Project, and we're going to call this one Sound versus Player, and say OK. So now we've got our sound versus player, and you know it's that. If you check in this upper left-hand corner there, you'll be able to see sound versus player is the name of it. Empty screen here and everything. What we're going to do first is we're going to plan ahead and go to the layout under the palette here and choose a horizontal arrangement and drag that over and drop it in place. This horizontal arrangement, I'm going to want it to be the full width of the screen. So I'm going to go to width and fill parent there. And then the height, I think we should maybe do a 40% height and say OK on that. So that's good. Last thing we want to go into here is we want to make sure items inside of it are centered, but at the top. And so we have that right now. We're not going to put any image there yet. We're going to leave it visible, and the background color can remain the default. So there's that. That'll allow us to manage the next two things we're going to do. So now go back over to your palette on the left here and go to User Interface, and we're going to pull over two buttons. Two buttons. We're going to pull those over. Sorry about that brief interruption. Somebody walked in and I had to pause it, so that's what all that extra clicking around was about. Anyway, so yeah, you pull your two buttons over like that. Now, let's go to the first button on the left here. You'll see that when we brought it over, of course, it populated in the component screen, and I can select different items in the component screen and change their properties over here. But let's go to button 1. And we're going to, first, we're going to rename it. So we're going to click Rename here. And we're going to call this one Player, P-L-A-Y-E-R. So that when we click that, it'll activate a player sound thing. Can't be the same as the component type. Let's try Player in all caps. Try that and see if that does. It does fine if you do it in all caps. So now that's called Player. Button 2, we'll rename it. And we'll call it Sound. Do all caps, and that way you don't get that error that we got just a second ago. Go back to the player one here. Let's make our background color on that start out, I don't know, red. And we can make a lot of different changes here, but the main change I want to do is come down here with the text. And feel free to, play around with the font and all of that. But on the text, I do want you to put, again, Player in all caps. So when you click that button, that'll be Player. I do want to change the height as well. Let's have it fill the parent on height. So it's the full height of this. But then width, let's make it be, let's say 40% of the thing that's there. So that's 40% that way. For button 2, let's change its text to be Sound, because it's the sound button. Again, let's make the height fill the parent, so it goes all the way top to bottom within the item it is part of. So it's going to fill the horizontal arrangement, not the entire screen, just the horizontal arrangement. And then the width, let's also make that one be 40%. And background color, let's make that one green. So we've got a green button and a red button, Player and Sound. Now, to make these be interesting at all, what we're going to do is come back over to the palette here, go to Media, and we're going to pull over a player and drop it here. And again, remember that's a non-visible component, so it appears down there. And the sound, drag it over and drop it, and again, another non-visible component. Player 1 and sound 1. Now, we want to endow these player and sound with different sound files. As I showed you before, you can go to my instance online, and you can get stuff. I'm going to get, for one of them, I'm going to get the Taco Bell bong here, I see. Download that. And, if you want to preview it, you certainly can. I don't know if this will play over the speakers when I do this, but classic Taco Bell ring. The other one, let's see, for now, let's just do something simple. Let me look and see, do we have ding? Let's see if we look for the word ding here. Because I want a short sound. It's not searching, is it? Is it searching or not searching? May need to hit enter. There we go. All right, so, and I want just like a perfect, nice, quick little sound, not too irritating as long as you don't hear it 10,000 times. Download that. So I downloaded both of those. Those will be in my downloads folder. So when I go to look for them later, and I'm looking in the folder thing, I can go over here to quick access under downloads, and they should be the two most recent things that I've clicked. So I've got those downloaded. Let's go back into AppInventor. Under media, let's click upload file. Choose the file and go to the Taco Bell bong sound effect. Open that. Say OK. And that'll populate down here. And now let's say for player 1, let's make that the sound for that. So let's click here. So you go to the source. You click it, that comes up, you do have to click OK. So now the Taco Bell bong sound is associated with player 1. It is not yet associated with either of the buttons. It's associated with this entity, not this entity. They are different. This is the button named player. This is the button named sound. This is the actual player, these actual sound. To link those, we're going to have to write some blocks. For sound 1, let's upload, choose the file, and get the Taco Bell. No, wait, I did Taco Bell for the other one. Let's do the ding for that one. So one file for one file for the other. Again, they're both here. I can go to the source here and choose the ding sound for here and say, okay. Let me just double check. I was doing that quickly and got confused. Yes, this one, when I click player 1, says Taco Bell sound. Sound 1, I get the ding sound effect. So we have those two associated there. All right. I think we're ready now to actually set this up in the blocks. We've got our user interface set up. So let's go to the blocks. And what we want is, over here, again, under our horizontal arrangement, we have the player button. And what we want to do is when player is clicked, we want something to happen. What we want is the player itself. So come down here to the media player, and you want to do call player 1 start. And install that there. And so what that should do is when you click the button that's called player, it plays the sound associated with player 1. Similarly, let's go to the sound button. When the sound button is clicked, we want to go to the sound and play it. Now, part of what we're trying to do here is we want to compare the performance of player versus sound. So at this point, they should be essentially equivalent. What we're going to find, though, as we dig into this, is that player has the option to determine when player, oh, wait, maybe it's not player, maybe it's sound. Yeah, sound has the, wait, now I'm confused. I'm looking for something here that I thought was in both of these, but now I'm not seeing it here. Hang on. Oh, yeah, when player 1 completed. So when you have the actual player, media player thing here, it has the ability not only to play and start and stop and all of that, but it can actually detect when it's finished playing that sound clip and respond to it. As you'll see under sound, we don't have that option. There's no place here under sound to know when the sound has finished. It's all about, oh wait, that's a button. Let me click the sound media player. Yeah, you only have error. You can play and pause and stop, but you don't have anything here for detecting when it's completed. So we're going to look into that in a minute. But still, nonetheless, right now these should be essentially the same functionality. So let's go to Connect. Connect to your AI companion. That didn't work. Let's go to Connect. Oh, wait, I may have to reset my connection and try again. Connect, yeah, AI companion here. Okay, and then I have my phone in front of me, and I'm going to click Scan QR code on the app. It's going to scan it. It's got a code in there. It's now updating. It's interesting. It says rendezvous. What it's actually doing here is kind of interesting, is that over Wi-Fi, it's sending from here to my phone a web page that it's created temporarily that has all the code, and then it's sending my phone to go look at that web page. So it's actually your AI companion's nothing more than a fancy kind of browser. But nonetheless, now what I have is a screen that looks something like this does. And when I click the player button, it plays the sound, and when I click the sound button, it plays that sound. Pretty straightforward. The sound is a little bit more rapid. It's a shorter sound clip, so it you can tap it more rapidly and have it play. All right, so right now they're essentially equivalent. But now let's go into the blocks and let's make some changes here. One thing I would like is that when you push the player button, that it changes the color of that button. So if I go to the button over here, and I come down here to set player background button. This is similar to what we did before. I can drop this in place, and I'm going to move these further apart here because I'm going to put something kind of big here. I can then have that background color go to, if we go to colors, you can make a color like this using RGB, and we talked about that. But what we're going to do here now is we're going to delete this and instead go to the math, and down here there's random integer. I'm going to put that here. I'm going to change it from 0 to 255. Now, the reason it's 255 is kind of an arcane bit of programming knowledge. This is actually 1 byte of data, I believe it is, can go from 0 to 255. 256 actually rolls it back around to 0 again. So it's a base 2 number. And this is R, G, and B, how much red, how much green, and how much blue, 0 to 255. I set that one up first so I can delete these two real quick like this. And then I can right-click on this. And this is a technique I want you to learn, that when you're working over here, you don't always have to go searching in here and find stuff. If you have something that's close to what you want, you can duplicate it and move it into place, and you can even edit it if you want to, and duplicate it again and move it into place. So now this is going to generate, every time I click that button, it's going to generate a unique color, randomly selected, and change the background of the player button every time I click it. I can check it right now. I don't even have to do anything with reconnecting or anything. The app's still open, so now I can come back in and I tap it, and now mine happened to turn kind of a blue color, and then kind of a dark green, and now it's purple, and now it's the same green as the sound, and now it's another kind of brownish color. So the button's changing every time I click it. Cool. If I want to do the exact same thing over here with sound, what I can do here is I can come to this portion and I can duplicate that, pull this whole thing over here. Let me drag this under here so I can see both of them at the same time. Now, right now, if I click the sound button, it will change the color of the player button. But look, I can change this to do the sound button. Now, this one, when I click it, changes the player button, and this one changes the sound button. So I'm going to click my sound button, and it goes from green to teal, and now it's magenta, and now it's kind of a weird purple, and now it's blue. Click that, the player just changed to pink, the player changed to yellow. Had I not made this alteration, if I leave this as player, if I click the sound button, my player button is the one that's changing color. My sound button's remaining the same color all the time. So play around with that, get a sense of that. So it's important that you can duplicate stuff, but please be sure when you do, you make the necessary conversions for it to do what you want. So again, they still seem about the same. So what I want to try next is, I would like it if, okay, I have this idea. It's kind of silly, but what if you had an app, and when you tap a button, a face appears on the screen, and it screams at you, and then as soon as the scream is over, it goes back to being the way it was, like a jump scare button thing. Well, if I wanted to do that with sound, I couldn't, because the sound can't tell when it's done playing. There's no way here under the sound player to detect when it has finished playing. But if you go to player, the player one here, you can see when player one completed. So here's what we're going to do. First, I'm going to delete this right here. I'm going to click on that and delete those 12 blocks so that my player button doesn't change color anymore. It's just going to stay the color it is all the time. But what I'm going to have happen is that when you click that, you click it, the horizontal arrangement here, the entire arrangement, both buttons, will disappear for a period of time. So we're going to take horizontal arrangement visible, and we're going to put it here, and then under logic over here, you can find true and false. And drag this over, and actually want to make it false. Click the down arrow and make it false. So what this is going to do is when I click this button, it's going to hide both buttons in the horizontal arrangement. But it won't stay gone forever, because now I'm going to go, when the player finishes, duplicate this, the horizontal arrangement will reappear. So this is the first step to doing the jump scare button. Okay? So right now what will happen, if you go in and you try it, so go into your AppInventor, when you click sound, it still bings and it changes the color. But when I hit player, the screen goes blank for a period of time until the Taco Bell is finished bonging, or whatever it is, and then it all comes back. So play with it, and you should actually see it disappear and reappear once it's done playing. Kind of cool. Now, the jump scare part. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go into, here, let me close this, I'll show you. Open a new browser window, go to Google and type in Screamy, E-A-M-Y, face, like that. Change it to images, and here are a whole bunch of images. I thought this one was kind of entertaining, but I guess I'll download this one now. So here's one. Let me right-click it and get Save Image As. Now, one thing you want to notice anytime you're doing this, trying to save images from Google Images or Google search like that, make sure that it is a JPEG or a, I think it do PNGs. Occasionally you'll get ones that are JFIF or WebP, W-E-B-P. Those don't play well with most other apps. So make sure it is a JPEG when you go in. And I'm actually going to put Screamy Face 2, because I already have a Screamy Face 1 in there, and save that. So that face is now saved as an image. I can go back into AppInventor. That did download, so it should be my downloads file. Or I go to Designer, go here to my media, and upload Screamy Face 2. Open that, click OK. Now that's just in my media. It doesn't actually live anywhere yet. But watch this. We can go into our components, and under horizontal arrangement, we can, I'm sorry, take that back. Under screen 1, go to screen 1. Oh, wait, let me think. How do I want to do this? No, I don't want to do either of those. I apologize. I forgot for a moment how I was doing this. Go back to user interface. That's what I want to do, to user interface. So forget what I said about screen 1 and horizontal range. Over here under user interface, choose an image, drop it underneath the player and sound here. That's image 1 here. Okay. Let's rename image 1 Scream image, Scream picture, Scream pic. Let's call it Scream pic. Okay. So we got Scream pic there. Okay. Under, let's see, picture here, yes. Choose your Screamy face that you uploaded. Say OK. Now, it's there, which is in a terrible place. But we're going to change some things. Let's go to the height and make it be fill parent and say OK. Let's go to the width and say fill parent and say OK. So there's the face down there. And now what we're going to do is this. We're going to go to visible down here, and we're going to make it not normally visible, like that. So it's there. If this was toggled, you can toggle it on and off. You can make it appear or disappear. And actually, as I'm clicking this, my phone is actually having it show up over here. And then when I click this again, a second later, it disappears off of my phone because I'm still connected. Anyway, back over to block. So leave that invisible, right? You could click Scale Picture to Fit. Let's click that as well. Let's see if that changes anything. Oh, no, I don't like that. It's stretching it. Turn that off. Let's just so leave it like that. All right, good. So far, let's go to blocks. So now what I want to do, this is going to be cool, okay, is we're going to take the, where is it here, Screen Pick. And we're going to go Set Screen Pick, let's see, Visible here. So it's normally invisible. When you click the player, we want to change it to be true, but only, duplicate, bring this down, until the player is done, and then we have it disappear. So this is kind of cool. What it's going to do is when you click player start, it's going to play the scream. We're going to change this to a scream in a minute. It's going to make all the buttons disappear and make the picture appear. And because the buttons are going to be gone, the pick is going to use up the whole screen while it's screaming. Once it's done screaming, the picture will disappear, and you can change this around if you want. Put this above. You might want to change that sequence here, so let's put this one below that one. It happens so fast you won't know the difference, but we'll just do that. So the screen will disappear at the end of the playing, and then the buttons will reappear. So take a moment, tap your player button, and right now it's a Taco Bell dong that I get, and the screamy face comes up, which is not having the desired effect, clearly. So what we want to do is find a scream sound. So let me go into my instance. Let me search for scream, S-C-R-E-A-M, scream. And I think, do I hit this or do I hit enter? I guess I hit enter. All right, all these are different screams. It's going to be really annoying in the classroom while you guys are doing this. Some of these screams go on and on and on. I think this one right here does. Oh, no, that one's short. One of them I clicked and I'm like, oh, this one. Yeah, that's, okay, that's enough. I clicked a different button so it wouldn't be so bad. Anyway, you want a fairly quick one. You want something like, ah! So play around till you find one. That one's a little too long. That one's too long. All right, you can keep clicking these around. I actually already downloaded one. I think it's Homer saying something, Homer Simpson saying scream, Homer scream. I thought I saw it here somewhere. Anyway, I have one already loaded. I'll let you pause the video and go do that. But once you get it downloaded, of course, you'll go to your designer. You'll go to your media down here, and you'll upload, and you'll choose the file. And I think it's this one. No, I think it's that one. I'm pretty sure it's that one that I have. That's Homer Simpson screaming. I open that. I say OK. Give it a moment. There it is. It's there. Okay. Now I'm going to go to player one and change the source now to that source instead. So now instead of playing the Taco Bell sound, it should play the scream. Let me hit the button on my phone and okay. It's got a little bit of silence at the beginning of that, so it's not a perfect sound file for that. But play around with that. That's kind of a fun, silly thing, and it shows you that there is an advantage to player over sound. With player, you can actually have it do different things while the sound is active, and then respond, return back to the way it was when the sound has completed. Player one also has some other options in here. You can detect errors, I believe, but here you can actually play multiple sounds. So you can have player one, player two, player three, player four. You can have it do stuff. You can check to see is it still playing. You can loop it. The play in foreground, I'm not sure what that means. You can change the source on the fly here. So what you could do is put in multiple buttons and it could play. In fact, that gives me an idea for the next video. So we're going to do another video here now. I'm going to pause this one. It's 24 minutes already. And have fun with that app for a little bit.